Good morning and welcome back to my channel. I'm standing here, don't know whether to laugh or cry really. I'm laughing, I'm actually laughing because I'm not upset or unhappy. But I am, what's a good word to describe me this morning other than bloody shocked, I think. I've had a nice week, I've had a very nice week. We've had hospital stuff going on and the usual stuff. But to all intents and purposes, we've had a really pleasant week. I've probably walked about the same as I did last week. Would you say, Joe? We've had some good walks, some good hill walks, haven't we?
Very long walks, yeah.
Yeah, so probably topped 100,000 steps again. And last week I had quite a surprising loss of £2. And I've tried right throughout my journey of nearly 4 years never to put it down to walking, because to me, walking is just part of my life. We do have a car, but we choose to walk where we can. And excuse me if I'm still sounding really nasal, I'm still full of cough. So we do choose to walk where we can, and where we live, if we go that way, there are some really good hills. And in the early days, I used to be puffing and panting like an old steam train, didn't I? And now I can race up those hills and feel really good about doing it. I actually thoroughly enjoy walking. I thought about joining a rambling group, but as a blind person, actually walking on rough terrain isn't easy. It's much easier to pound the pavements where you know the pavements. So, good week, good food, but something I chose to do this week, and I'm using the word chose to do because I didn't do it out of any emotional need. I didn't do it out of any what, Jane? Any deprivation, any feelings of deprivation. I just chose to do it. Last week had me at the bottom of my target. Now, although that's a nice place to be, I'm always conscious that when I eat 8 stone 11, when I hit 8 stone 11, the only way is up. Can't keep going down out of target. And it's not about paying, it's not about the £4.95 a week, that's neither here nor there. It's about my mental attitude. I mean, the lowest I've been when I've been at Slimming World was 8 stone 8, and it felt good. But with me, it's never knowing when to stop. So I could, looking at the charts from a height, I could go down into the 7 stones. That would be absolutely ridiculous at my age. So last week I hit 8 stone 11, bottom of target. I knew that I had the wiggle room for a gain. And I knew that this week I wanted a gain. So in my head, I'm thinking, I can do this. I can control what I eat. I can make choices that will probably gain me a couple of pounds. Put me back at 8 stone 13, which is a comfortable place. So I like a weight that starts with an 8. Right, okay, so I put myself back at about 8 stone 13. Well, the well-laid plans of mice and men, or even women. So this week I have eaten sugar. Now, how many times have I come on this camera and said it's not fat that makes me fat, it's sugar? Now, I'm going to ask for Joe's opinion because he's ruthlessly honest. Have I eaten massively to excess this week?
No, you could have been worse.
Have I eaten like stupidly this week?
No, not particularly.
But I've had some
You've had a few things, some bread, some ice cream.
And some chocolate.
And some chocolate. But not bags of it.
No, not like binges. Not like I used to eat it, yeah?
No.
So I'm thinking sensibly with what I've eaten. I'm going to group this morning thinking £1.50 to £2.50 gain. That's fine. So I went along, jolly happy me, laughing and smiling. Jeans still in the same sort of place as usual, still big and, comfortable. Right, so we get to group. We go to the queue, we pay our money, and the scales were clear, so I went straight over and got on the scales. Now, the lady on the scales usually says straight away what you've done, and there was silence. So I'm thinking, OMG, have I broke the scales? And she said, that's not like you. Now, I couldn't see what the result was, bear that in mind. And that's not like you doesn't mean a good result in my book, because she knows I can go up and down, I can gain and lose. I never go up massively. So I said, what's not like me? And she said, you've gained 6 pounds. So I've gone, I mean, how clever am I, from the bottom of target to the top of target in 1 week by eating sugar. And to be fair, and I think I'm being fair to myself, I have not eaten sugar to excess. I've eaten sugar like a normal person, or like I see my friends have a bit of chocolate, 2 slices of bread. I haven't, the old me, if I say to you the old me, would have had half a loaf of bread or more, or a big French stick or something like that. This me has had a couple of slices of bread. And I don't feel like I've operated in my old greedy pig mode. I feel like I've eaten this week like pretty much a normal person would eat, like I would see other people eat. But I tell you what it has done for me, and this is the marvellous part about it, it's given me a bloody good reality check, because so many times I've said I cannot eat sugar. And I think this week I've proved it to myself, and maybe I needed to do that, because starting to dabble with it wasn't going to do me any favours in the long term. So I'm not cross that I've gone from the bottom to the top of target in one go. I am a bit shocked, because if I can gain 6 pounds that easily by eating what I've ate this week, then if I let myself go for a month or 2, I could be gaining stones. That's scary. I know that there is a belief and there is a condition, and I think it's described in the comments on one of my recent videos by a lady who very helpfully put it in there, that once you have lost a lot of weight, there is an explanation as to why you gain it back so much easier. But in my 4 years at Slimming World, I have never gained anything like 6 pounds in a week. I think the most I've ever gained in a week before would be about 2.5. And that was when I'd had a week where I'd been out for lots of meals and done lots of things. I can't even claim this week that I've been out for meals. I've been eating at home and eating pretty normally. Went to the hospital, a fabulous private hospital that serves amazing coffee on Thursday, and chose not to have one, because I was watching my sins, and I thought if I spend about 6 or 7 sins on a coffee here, then I'm going to be over my 15. I'm not going there. So I chose not to have a coffee. I'm kicking myself now. I missed out there. But yeah, it's a good reality check. It's a bit of a shock. It hasn't upset me. I'm still smiling. But what it has made me see is that if I want to stay in the shape I'm in, then I've got to keep doing what I was doing. I can't let it. There's something in me that, you know, you look at the Slim for Life book when you're a Target member, and it looks at what you did in your last 8 weeks to get to Target, and it says if you lost about £0.5 a week, you go for option 1. If you were losing, I don't know, say 1.5, you go for option 2, you go for option 3. From the moment I saw that book when it first came out and I read it, and I said to Joe, if I did any of those options, I'd gain weight. But I didn't feel I could apply that book to myself, because I'd already been at Target nearly 3 years when that book came out. So it was impossible to look at the last 8 weeks. But I honestly don't think the last 8 weeks before you get to Target is that easily measured. Because I don't think it necessarily reflects the whole of your journey, the whole of your eating habits, the whole of your behaviours. It's just the last 8 weeks. And some people will get to Target, you know, like that. And some people will get there like this. And some people will take a year to do that last half stone. It's a reality, because we're all different. And all you can do is look at your own journey. And looking at my journey, I know, hand on heart, that my enemy is sugar. And this week I chose to let it back into my life in a modest or moderate way. And this is what it's done for me. So it really does prove the point that I've been making for the last 3 years. I have to do this plan sugar-free, or as near to sugar-free as possible. And, excuse me, I've got tickled, but I think the slippery slope probably started 2 weeks ago when I discovered Kvarg. Kvarg is quark, but it's a fruit or flavoured quark. And the little tubs, I'm not sure how much is in a tub, Joe, about 150 mils?
Yeah.
Yeah? They are divine. They are half a sin. Now there's my favourite would be vanilla and blueberry, but they are extremely sweet. I think they're sweetened with healthier stuff because they can't be sweetened with sugar if they're only half a sin. But I think that putting that into my breakfast reignited my sweet tooth, because usually for my breakfast I would have all bran and plain quark because I don't usually go for sweet stuff. Adding one of those to my breakfast added half a sin a day to my plan, 90 calories, which is not a lot, but oh my goodness, it reignited that, that's lovely and sweet. And I think that was the beginning of my bit of a slippery slope into wanting something sweet later in the day. Whereas before, the only sweet things I would generally eat would be fruit. So I need to take it back to where I was not gaining 6 pounds in a week. I need to go back to doing what I was doing before because it was working. And isn't it a thing that often in life we find something that works and we think we've got to change it? And I can't say I was even bored with what I was doing because I wasn't. I've just been silly, really. I was looking at the word binge in the week because I've heard it quite a few times lately, people talking about what is a binge, when do we binge. I'm a diagnosed binge eater, so I've got a decent understanding of what binge eating is. I would say by the grace of God today, I do not binge in the way I used to be able to binge. I don't think I could physically do it anymore because 2 slices of bread and I'm full. You know, if I make myself a sandwich with 2 slices of bread, I'm full. Why did I used to binge? I believe that each of us has this hole inside us that we need to fill with something. And some people fill it with a passion for life, and some people fill it with faith, and some people fill it with addiction, and some people fill it with, I don't know, their children, their work ethic. But I think we all have this hole inside us. And that hole inside me I used to fill with food because it was the only thing that ever felt satisfying. I think a lot of that is linked with not having sight, but that's a whole other story and that's never going to change, so there's no point getting upset about it.
10:11. One notification.
Sorry, excuse my iPad. But I think for a lot of people, we look to keep that hole filled. So for me, filled it with food, squashed down my emotions and did that for a lot of years. And that led to me becoming a binge eater, and that led to a diagnosis about probably 15 years ago now of binge eating disorder and actually dealing with it. And I think I have reasonably well dealt with it. But I was talking to Joe in the week when we were walking and I said, you know, I think for me, binge, B-I-N-G-E, stood for because I never get enough. And it's that feeling of dissatisfaction, feeling of you could always have more. Because I know now, whatever I eat, you know, say I choose not to eat chocolate, I can be in a state of satisfaction by not eating chocolate, then reintroduce it into my life, and my husband can have the biggest bar of chocolate and eat 2 squares. And you go along to his place and a week later, you know, 85% of that bar of chocolate's still in the fridge. He's not a binge eater, right? I am. 1 square is never enough. 1 bar is never enough. That's just going to go on and on and on. And unless I actually pull myself back this week and say to myself, you've been dabbling with sugar, you've seen what it does to you. And like Joe said in the car this morning, there's no way you've eaten 21,000 extra calories and gained 6 pounds of fat. Some of this will be water weight. It's irrelevant. It's still what the scales say. We don't say that, do we, when we've lost weight? We don't go like, last week I lost 2 pounds. I don't go, wow, £1.75 of that was water weight. We only use that excuse when we've gained weight. So I'm not making an excuse of what I've gained is water weight. It doesn't really matter because the scales, unless you have those special scales that tell you the difference, just tell you what your overall weight is. I'm not going to go and buy those stupid scales that say you have this percentage of body fat. I'll pay 20 or 30 pounds for these scales and we can miraculously tell you by reading the soles of your feet that you have this percentage of visceral fat. I don't believe in things like that. For me today, what's important is my overall weight. Yes, I would probably love to go and see a healthcare professional and pay the price and have a really good, proper health reading. And there are ways of getting that done if people want to get that done. But I'm never going to fool myself with a cheap pair of scales, because I could get too obsessed about what those scales said. I think what I need to do is look at my life overall, look at the stuff I'm dealing with at the moment, give myself a bit of a slap round the head and say to myself, why don't you just go back to doing what you were doing, which was working? You are not going out the top of target, Jane. You are not. And I'm not. You know, I'll be back here next week and I will not be out of the top of my target because I'm just not going there. I'm not going to say the willpower because I don't have any willpower. I've got the discipline to live this lifestyle. And I don't want to live it going from the bottom of target to the top of target in 1 week. I've actually quite shaken myself this week, but it's a reality check. And it's no good me saying, it doesn't matter. Look, I'm still wearing the same clothes. Look, I've still got the same jeans on. Look, the waist is still loose. It doesn't matter. I could come back next week with another £6 gain and tell you the same thing. But am I going to feel good about myself? By then, no, I'm not. So, in a lot of ways, thank you to those scales this morning. Thank you to Slimming World, because if I had been of a mind, I could have just said, I know I'm facing a gain this week because I intended to gain this week because I was at the bottom of my target. I know I'm facing a gain this week, not feeling good about myself, I won't go to group. You know, the week after next, I've been going to group for 4 years and I haven't missed one yet. By the grace of God, I haven't missed one yet. And that's the only way I can do this. It doesn't matter to me what other people do. It doesn't matter to me whether other people do it online, don't go to group, whether people are working this plan at home and can do it. That's not going to affect my weight. The only thing that affects my weight is what I do. And I can't stand here and say it doesn't matter that I've gained £6, because it does matter. I'm not out of target and I'm very fortunate, but it has given me a reality check. And there will be less of me next week. There has to be, because I am not going out of the top of target. And somebody in group this morning was talking about weighing monthly, and that's probably somebody who finds it easier to get to group once a month. Oh my God, can you imagine the damage I could do in a month? Not going there. Right, okay, so that's my week. It's been interesting. But yeah, binge eating, I think for me, is because I never get enough. And it doesn't matter, you know, whatever it is. I know I need to eat the way I was eating, which was moderate portions of the right food and no snacks. That's the only thing that's going to work for me to keep this weight off. And I went out yesterday, I went into Outfit and bought a pair of jeans in a size 10. I don't want to be going into Outfit in 3 months' time and buying a pair of jeans in a size 14. There would have been one time when I was really, really happy to be a size 14, but that's not today. I want to stay where I am. I've got a wardrobe full of clothes that fit me, and if I start to go up, 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 I'm going to have nothing to wear. And I've been there too many times. So, yeah, it's Easter this weekend. It's a difficult time. There's a lot of chocolate about. There'll be a lot of family functions and whatever. But we each have to do what we each have to do. And for me, that is back to basics, bang on plan, 100%, and I'm committing to do that. So, yeah, that's my week. And we wish you all a happy Easter. We'll be back next Saturday. And remember, it works if you work it, it won't if you don't. And the chances are, if you don't work it, you gain £6. Take care, and we'll see you next Saturday. Cheers.